doing well. I'm Reza Askarizad, and I'm a researcher, a postdoc researcher at the University of Cagliari. And I'm really glad to have you all here in this course. Today, we are going to be familiar with one of the most important topics in scientific research, which is a systematic literature review. Today we are going to have an introductory statements and become familiar with the introductions of how to conduct systematic literature review, which is a real crucial issue in doing research and how to perform and provide an introductory steps for doing original research papers. First of all, we are going to be familiar with the different types of scientific articles. As you can see in this slide, we have different kinds of scientific articles when we are going to submit our papers in the journals, academic journals. Of course, the first one and the most important one is the original research paper. First of all, I would like to mention an interesting issue in order to mind-boggling. Um, did you think that why we are calling it a scientific article? Why we are not call it article or paper, simply paper or article? This is the important part of the issue because when we are going to write an original research paper, it means that we are going to have a contribution to the advancement of knowledge or science in our field. And this is the important part and the important responsibility of every researcher when try to start and initiate research papers. So that is why we can say that we can claim that original research paper is the main source of advancing research in every field and every disciplines. The second one, as the focus of this course and uh, our tutorial sources, which is based on it, is review paper. Uh, in addition to original research paper, we can have review papers, specifically systematic review paper, which is of course a little bit different with the traditional kinds of reviews because it follows any strategies which is based on a system. In the following, we will be familiar with it. The other kinds categories of scientific articles can be considered as a short communication paper. For example, if an original research paper consists of 8,000 words or 10,000 words, a short communication paper will be limited to 2,000 words or 4,000 words. Depends on the journal, it can be different. We have a comment paper or letter to editor papers. We have a book review paper. We have a case studies, and each category has its importance. But as I told you, the first one, and after that, the second one is the most important type of articles that we can start to write and submit for the academic journals. So, as an early career researchers, it would be very useful to know that uh, when we complete our research, how we can publish it. And actually, it's better to say that where we can publish them. Okay, here I'm going to introduce you three main sources that you can publish your research or scientific articles. The first one and perhaps the most easiest one, is to participate in the conference proceedings. You can, of course, participate in national or international conferences and present your articles in the form of some kinds of slideshows. In addition to submitted its PDF full text. And it could be a great experience, especially for the early career researchers and young researchers to start their trips and journey in the academic fields. The next one can be considered as the book chapters. Of course, you can contribute as an author of book chapters. Uh, Suppose that a famous editors in the field, in your field, announce that we are going to publish a specific book, for example, in the field of climate change, and we are calling for receiving your articles or manuscripts in the form of book chapters, and you can submit your work after peer reviewing process. You can consider your work as a publication in one of the book chapters, in the form of a book chapters. And the last one, and of course the most difficult procedure of publishing your work, and of course the most authentic one, is publishing in journal papers. Journal papers, of course, with no hesitation, can be considered as one of the as the most, of course, important and most rigorous procedure of publishing your works. Of course, in the following, I will let you know that what kind of attributes and characteristics that each journal should have for considering your works. Okay, here, as you can see, we have the most reputable academic publishers that you can consider for your studies, even for reviewing articles, and even for considering for your publications. It is very important to consider the most famous publishers in the world, academic publishers in the world, and you have to know that, know them, uh, and it is very important for you as a young researcher to get to recognize these uh, outstanding publishers. The first one and the most important one, specifically in our field, which is the subcategory of the social science and urban planning, is the Elsevier. Elsevier is the most uh, famous publisher in our field because it supports a wide range of high-impact journals in the field of academic articles and, of course, books. The next one can be considered as Springer, which is, of course, very well-known publisher. And, of course, Springer is the number one based on the quantities of published publications. After that, we have Wiley, we have Emerald Publishing, we have Taylor and Francis or Routledge Publication, we have Sage Journals or Sage Publication, we have Nature, which is of course very important and famous, specifically for high-level academies. We have MDPI, and of course we have some other publishers such as Frontiers or um, I don't remember right now, but there are some other publishers. But here, this list can be considered as the most important ones. Okay, here I would like to mention that and of course introduce you two important databases which is very important for the academic sources of articles. The first one is Scopus, which is a subcategory of Elsevier publication. And this next one is Web of Science, which is the subcategory of Clarivate. And these two important indexes are really crucial and can be considered as the pillars of the academic science and academic fields. And it is very important that the journal or in some cases book chapters that you want to publish or any conferences that you want to participate on it uh, supported by these two uh, important indexes, Scopus or Web of Science. Okay. Web of Science, of course, with no hesitation, is very important for your publishing purposes, but you should consider that um, it can be categorized into the different classifications. For example, the most important and frequent categories can be considered as these four items that you can see in this slide. The first one can be considered as Social Science Citation Index or SSCI. This is very important index for disciplines which are covered by social science. We have Science Citation Index Expanded or SCIE, which is really relevant and well known for the fields of engineering. We have Arts and Humanities Citation Index or AHCI, which is of course for courses like humanities and arts such as architecture and so on. And we have Emerging Source Citation Index or ESCI. The last item is specifically for the journals which are recently emerged and comparing to others, uh, it can be considered as the least important, but in general case, each of these categories are well recognized and well respected. And if a journal or an academic publication indexed one of these, it can be well respected, and you can uh, you can easily trust them for your publishing purposes. Okay, here we are going to be familiar with one of the most important criterias, which is known as a quartile. What is quartile? Maybe you heard it or not, you have heard it or not, but if you have not heard it, probably you have heard Q1 journals, Q2 journals, or Q3 or Q4 journals. What are these Qs? This is quartile. So what is quartile here? Quartile is an indicator in order to demonstrate the level of influence of that specific journal into the academic field. These can be categorized into four different levels. Q1 is the first quartile. Publications in such journals is considered a very important achievement for scientists. And of course, it can be considered as the best one. Q2 or the second quartile are the journals that are not as highly ranked as Q1, but it still can be recognized as the highly influential ones. And they are very important aspects, of course, for PhD students who want to defend their thesis, and they need to publish their work before defense. Most probably, in most cases and universities, especially in European universities, they have to consider to publish their works in one of the Q1 or Q2 journals. After that, we have Q3, which is a third quartile. These are also the most popular journals among academics, specifically for young researchers. We have Q2, Q4 journals, which is related to the fourth quartile. Publication in such journal also has a positive impact on the image of the researcher. So, if you are an early career researcher, don't worry about these quartiles. You can publish in these works because being indexed in one of these quartiles and indexes is much more valuable in comparing to cases that are not indexed in such academic indexes and quartiles. And as you can see, this quartile is applied for both Web of Science and Scopus. Web of Science has a subcategory which is known as JCR. On that, you can find the quartiles of the journals, and of course, Scopus has it as well. And you have to follow and consider the quartiles of journals that you want to publish your work. Okay, in this slide, we are going to be familiar with the most important academic search engines for the scientific articles. The first one, and of course the most comprehensive one, is Google Scholar. Google Scholar is a very famous and perhaps the most comprehensive one and the most comprehensive database for finding related papers and academic articles in your specific field. Beside that, we have, of course, a Science Direct, which is a subcategory of the Elsevier publication, which is uh, very important, and but it has a limitation that you can only follow Elsevier publications in this database. So we can understand in this case, Google Scholar is the most comprehensive one. But here we are going to introduce you how we can use Google Scholar as a search engine. You can easily search it or Google it. Scholar.google.com is its website, and you can easily, of course, Google it, and you can find this website as you can see here. After seeing this page, you can easily search your research topic and the variable that you are looking to investigate for. In this box, as you can see in this slide, you can search your keywords and or research topic here and easily click on search the blue item, and then you can see the results of the publications suggested by Google Scholar. Perhaps we search for an item for example, in walkability in urban design, as you can see in the upfront of the uh, page and slideshow. We are going to search for walkability in urban design, which is one of the most relevant and frequent works and topics in the field of urban planning. After searching and clicking on the blue item, we can see the list of articles, suggested articles, as you can see here. Um, the list or the name of these articles, you can see their names and the topic of these articles by the blue items. And of course, um, you can see the name of the author, you can see the name of the journals, you can see the name of the publishers. As I told you, it is very important to consider publishing and reviewing or reading articles in well-known publications. For example, the first one is for Taylor and Francis, the third one is for Springer. Here you can find the way that how you can um, find their related publishers. Of course, there are some other items, as you can see. We have an item, important item, which you can see in the blue item, cited by. What does it show? It is very important to consider it when you are going to search your related papers. For example, the first paper in the upfront, cities, food, pedestrians, walkability, and urban design. This article is cited by 356 papers. This is very important to consider that each specific article um, cited by how many other researchers. For example, this research has been published in 2008. The next research, you can see that, which is published in 2009 in the Journal of Urban Design, titled Measuring the Unmeasurable Urban Design Qualities Related to Walkability. This article, as you can see, is cited by 1,642 papers. Guys, this is a really huge uh, record of citation, and this is a really great achievement for the authors, Ewing and Handy, who are the researchers for this article. They have a great achievement and they have a significant contribution to the field of urban design by their articles. So we can understand that this article is very important in our field, and it can be you can easily trust in this article, because it is really important and of course influential in your field. Okay, these are the general issues that you can consider for your publishing. Of course, in the left side of the slideshow in your search engine, you can see some filter items which can be, of course, important. Um, for example, in the item that highlighted by red line, you can see that you can filter your search items by the specific years. For example, we are going to conduct a review paper, and we might think that 2008 or 2009 or 2010 or even 2015 papers are a little bit old for our specific scope. That is why we are looking for the most updated and most upgraded research papers and outcomes in our field. For example, we are going to focus on the papers which has been published in last 5 years. So with this filtration, we can easily limit our search engine into the papers published into ranging from 2020 to 2024. That is how we can limit our search engines. And one of the important points, if you are searching on your Google Scholar, uh, you will not see some of the items that we can see here. For example, as you can see, we became familiar with the quartile indicators, and we understood that Q1 or Q2 papers are the most important ones. As you focus on the articles listed here, we have some items which has shown Q1, and we can understand that the quartiles of these journals are shown for us, has been shown for us. How does it work? Because if you do it in your Google Scholar, you cannot see these items. Guys, these are some plugins or extensions for your Google Scholar that you can easily search some phrases like in Google. You can Google it, rapid journal quality check. If you Google it, you can, the first link that appears, you can click on it and add these extensions into your Google Scholar or Google Chrome. These are specific extensions for Google Chrome in order to understand the quartile of the journal. This is very important in your first look and its first uh, glimpse. You can understand the quality of that specific journal. So the first one is rapid journal quality check, and we have also another one, X citation journal ranking. This is the second one that of course shows the uh, quartiles of the journals, and you can understand the quality of journals and the importance of that specific journal. In addition, you can of course see the flag of the country that publisher for the public publication of these specific journals. So please consider these two extensions. You can Google it and easily add it into your Google Scholar. Now let's delve into how to search in ScienceDirect. When you search sciencedirect.com or Google it, you can easily find this website. And as you can see, you will see this page. Uh, In the box that has the title of Find Articles with these terms, you can easily search your variables or keywords or research topic, whatever you prefer. You can write it down in other boxes. If you want to search for a specific journal, you can write the name of the journal. If you know about the authors and you want to specifically search for the articles of one specific author, you can write it down here, and after that you can click on search the blue items and see their results. For instance, here we search for walkability in urban design, and as you see, we can have we can see the list of our publications, and the same as Google Scholar, the same as Google Scholar. We in the left side of the page, we can limit the years of our publications, and of course we can only focus on review papers or original papers or research articles or book chapters. And these are the limitations that we can put it into our search. I want to mention one specific and important, of course, uh, issue. Maybe you know it, but if you don't, it is very necessary to recognize that we have two types of publications. We have open access publication, which you can easily access and freely access to the full text of the articles. In these types of articles, the author paid to the journal in order to publish their research in open access, which can be easily and freely accessible to the all of the people. But in other cases, we have subscription articles, and in this case, you cannot freely access to these articles unless you can have an access with your institutions or academic emails from your getting from the university, and you should consider these issues. For the early career researcher and young researcher who want to start their academic writing, it is very important to note something special, something important. Consider that you find your specific papers and you want to start writing your papers and start your work. For example, the first paper listed here, you find it, you download its full text, you read its introduction and find some sentences that can be suitable for your article as well. How we can use it? This is very important to consider. Can we simply copy and paste that to our article? Absolutely not. This is very important item that you should be considerate, because if you simply copy paste it, you will commit it to plagiarism, and you should be very careful to not to do not to don't do this in your article. We have, of course, different strategies. Just in this video, I would like to mention it in order to explain it for you and clarify it for you, in order to understand how we can use the external materials from different resources in our articles. In general case, we can say that we can have three strategy in order to use the different other resources for our articles, for our manuscripts. The first item, for example, suppose that you read this sentence and you like it and you want to use this in your article. During the past few years, the fields of urban design and public health have been drawn, blah blah blah. You want to use it. How we can use it? The first strategy is to paraphrase this sentence. It is important to restate this sentence in another style and structure. After paraphrasing it, you will reference to that article. This style called, of course, paraphrasing. Of course, there are other styles like summarizing or incorporating. For example, in summarizing, you may read the whole paragraph and you want to use all of them. In some cases you can summarize the whole paragraph into one sentence, and uh, mm, you can compress them into one sentence. And in this case, after summarizing all of the uh, information from the paragraph into one sentence, then we will cite and reference all of the citations. Okay, so it is important to note that after paraphrasing or summarizing, we should cite the references. So don't forget that. And the last common strategy can be related to incorporation. For example, you have a list of articles, as you can see here. For example, these three articles. We read the first article, we read the second article, and we read this third article, and want to summarize the main idea of walkability based on these three articles. We can paraphrase and incorporate the items that we have read in each article, and after that incorporate it to each other and cite the reference, all of these references. These are three common strategies for writing your article. Of course, with consideration the fact that in order to avoid plagiarism, which is a very important item that early career researchers must consider this item. Okay, now we are going to understand that why we are going to conduct a literature review. This is a very important item to understand why we need to conduct literature review. Guys, each of you here, I know that each of you has a research topic for your course of environmental planning, and I know that you are focusing on accessibility, walkability, spatial justice, or gender equality. You have universal design, and you have climate change. These are very important topics in the field of urban planning, with no hesitation. And of course, worth investigating, and you can consider it for your research with no problem. But I want to ask you, can you directly use this research topic as a topic of your article, title of your article? Absolutely not. Why? You may confuse, because these are the items that has been that have been previously worked and published so many articles on these topics. So what should you do? You should do and perform a literature review in order to understand what are the research gaps in your field, in order to compensate and meaningfully contribute to the advancement of the knowledge. So we conduct the literature review in order to understand and recognize the state of the knowledge, and in order to understand what is the current state of existing literature in our field, and find out and identify the research gaps in your field and try to focus and fill that gap. This is a very important issue that you should be considered. when you are going to do your research and select your research. That is the process that we call it the conversion of the research topic to the research title. Yes, of course. Research topic is completely different with research title. Research title is the exact title of your research, but topic is so general and as you can see in the you have seen in the last slide, these can be, of course, a well-known theories and well-supported theories, but you have to do literature review in order to understand the research gaps in your field to convert your research topic into the research title. So here the importance of literature review will be manifested. Okay, here we are going to put a small step forward and advance our knowledge. Why we should conduct a systematic literature review? Of course, the uh, basic and foundation aim and goal for conducting systematic literature review and traditional literature review are the same in order to understand the research gaps, avoid redundancy, develop our theoretical framework, and some issues like this. And then, of course, the main goal is to understand how to contribute to our field. But there are some particularities among these issues that we will get to know them. This is a really interesting funnel that you can see for understanding the issue of uh, literature review. For example, as you can see here, we have some important research topics such as workability, accessibility, and sociability. We will put this into this funnel, and after analyzing the literature review, the result will be manifested as our research gaps. You can understand and discern or identify the scope of your research, which is the results of this uh, catalyzation system. And that is how you can justify the contribution of your research. Guys, please note that if you want to have a successful publication, specifically for original papers, you have to justify that your research has a sufficient contribution to the existing body of knowledge. If you don't have if you don't avoid redundancy, your research will be rejected. If you want to consider publishing for the Q1 or Q2 journal or indexed journals, wherever you intend to publish, it is important to take note this important issue. So keep it in your mind carefully. So we have understood that we have different types of review papers and literature review. As you can see here, we have the traditional literature review, and in a more advanced step, we have a systematic literature review. Traditional literature review has a style of narrative. So, when you want to report your literature review, you have to follow a narrative. style. For example, Alexander 2020 stated that David and his colleagues suggested that some narrative items like this, but systematic literature review is mostly based on quantitative analysis and, of course, more systematic manner. Traditional literature review, this is the um, truth and the fact that we have to confess that traditional literature review are less accurate and less precise. But systematic literature review are more accurate and precise. Why it is like this? Because uh, in systematic literature review, we avoid biases. What is bias? It means that, for example, let me give you an example in order to illustrate the issue. Suppose that we are going to write a traditional literature review in a narrative style. We review all the related articles, and even we may find all the related articles. But sometimes in the traditional literature review, we may ignore some specific articles because of any reason, no matter. Because of specifically for our bias. We want to exclude some specific article from our reviewing system. But in systematic literature review, we cannot exclude any article because systematic literature review should be reproducible. What does it mean? It means that any other researchers except you, uh, when do and conduct your literature review, they should reach your results as well. So that is why we call it, we can say that systematic literature reviews are reproducible. If you want to publish your work as a traditional literature review, specifically in high quality journal, it will be most probably as an early career researcher and young researcher, it will be most probably rejected because it is based on your own judgment. And as a non-experienced researcher, in most cases, editors will not trust your judgment. So it is very important for the early career researchers or young researchers who wants to take the initial steps of their journey in the academic fields in order to follow systematic literature review. That is the way that we can publish their work. Okay, a systematic literature review, as we understood, have some step-by-step system that we have to follow and pursue them. And if we follow them step by step, it should be uh, it can be successfully completed. We have said that systematic literature review uh, avoid biases because uh, system determines the scientific gaps in the field, not the personal judgments. So this is the important aspect and attribute of this kind of review, and as a result, the outcome of these kind of studies are more generalized, and of course they have to be reproducible. That is the important aspects and significant aspects of these reviews. So we have to follow a specific guidelines for these systematic reviews. So how we should conduct our systematic review? Please note that every research that you want to conduct, whether it is the original paper or review paper or anything else, should follow a scientific research methodology. It is also applicable for the review papers, and specifically systematic review papers must follow a specific methodology, and it is very important to note all the steps and stages of your methods in detail meticulously. So you have to, in order to do your research systematic review paper, you have to follow a specific method. And one of the most important methodologies for the systematic review papers are PRISMA. What is PRISMA? PRISMA is the abbreviation of Preferred Reporting Items for Systematic Reviews and Meta-Analysis. These strategies and protocols have been firstly initiated for the courses and disciplines of medical sciences, but after a while, due to its high level of validity, it has been generalized into the other disciplines, specifically for the field of social science. So it is very important and well-known research method for conducting systematic reviews. Um, You may ask, what is meta-analysis? Meta-analysis here can be referred to some sorts of sophisticated statistical analysis which focus on quantitatively analyze the results of the outcome of your review. If you are not going to focus on it, you can consider it as a systematic review and follow the structure. The follow a structure, the Prisma checklist. Prisma checklist is a table and in which is which encompasses a list of items that you have to follow it, as you can see here. When you search it or Google Prisma 2020 checklist, you will probably receive this PDF file, and you can download it freely. And in this way, you can see the Prisma checklist. The latest Prisma checklist is 2020. And there are some listed protocols here that you need to follow and implement it into your work step by step. If you implement all of these steps, your systematic literature review, we can say, that follows the Prisma checklist. This PDF file is very important, and if you want to publish your research, your review paper in, as far as I know, as long as I know, it is a necessary file that you have to submit along your manuscript as a supplementary material into your for your article. And of course, it is very important to follow it step by step in order to have a good systematic review paper. Okay, as far as I know, of course, if you may know, uh, research article has a specific structure. For example, we have title, we have abstract, keywords, introduction. In some cases, we have literature review and theoretical framework. Of course, it is optional. We have material and methods. We have results or findings. We have discussion and we have conclusion. And at the end, we have the list of references. This is the main structure of each scientific papers. And in this Prisma checklist, for each section and each structure, we have a specific protocol that you have to implement into our review paper. For example, as you can see in the table, for the title, we have a specific protocol that we have to follow. As you can see here, identify the report as a systematic review. What does it mean? It means that in our title, after stating the relationship between variable and stating our research topic in research title, we have to mention that this is a systematic review. So this is the first important part that unfortunately many articles lack this attribute. So if we want to follow the Prisma checklist, we have to check all of these items. For example, in another step, for the abstract, of course, it shows that see the Prisma 2020 for abstract checklist. It has a structure of the abstract. And for the introduction, we have two main protocols. We have rational and we have objective. What is rational? This you have to describe the reason for your review in the context of existing knowledge. It is important to mention the why you mention that why you are doing this review. You should justify its significance to the academic field. We have objectives. Provide an explicit statement of the objectives or research questions for the review that you want to address. So, of course, you have to formulate research questions. You have to state your objectives of your research. This is the important. And in the right side, you can see the location where item is reported. And you should exactly report in this table that where did you do this and where did you report this in your manuscript. Of course, in the next session we have methods, some items, of course, with detailed items for our methods. We have eligibility criteria. What is eligibility criteria? Specify the inclusion and exclusion criteria for review and how studies were grouped for the censuses. In the following, we will understand what are the inclusion and exclusion criteria. In the next item, we have information sources. You have to specify that, specify all the databases you have used, websites, organization reference lists, and something like that. You have to uh, comprehensively and meticulously specify all of these items. For example, which databases you have used. If you use Scopus, you should write. If you use Web of Science, you should write it down. If you use Google Scholar, if you use Medline or anything else, you have to specify it in your paper. In the next items, we have other, of course, different categories. For example, search strategies. You have to present the full search strategies for all databases and express any limitation that you have considered for your searches, and all the issues like this little by little and step by steps. All of these protocols must follow specifically after that for the results section, discussion, conclusion, and anything else. So this is the Prisma checklist, and I think here we are going to have a it is better to have a break, and after 15 minutes we will come back here to continue that how we should implement these reviews. Well, okay, let's continue our discussion. So we understood that there is a Prisma checklist. There are a specific protocol that need to be followed step by step. And if you follow each step by meticulously and report it in this report the location where the item is written or reported, your systematic review paper will be conducted based on this protocol and follow the guidelines of the Prisma checklist. For each of these steps, if you have any ambiguity or any uh, hesitation in order to know how to write this, you can follow the QR code of this article and scan it and find out this review paper, which is based on the systematic review paper based on Prisma method. And for each step, you can understand how you can write each part if there is any hesitation for each of these steps. As you can see in this title, the application of space syntax to enhance sociability in public urban spaces, a systematic review the, which has been mentioned as the protocol that has to be regarded based on the title of the Prisma. So each step in a systematic review paper based on the Prisma framework should be regarded and noted in our article. One important issue is that for starting your article or writing your review paper or any other article, even original papers, guys, it is so important to have a role model for yourself. For example, you can find a good sample paper for yourself which has been published in one of the index journals. You can follow the guidelines that they implemented in their work, and you can get inspired from these articles for your own. In this way, you can write a successful research paper based on your own methods and your own research topics. So it would be very useful and fruitful if you can follow the steps of a valuable article that can be considered as a role model or for your own work. Okay, in this slide we are going to have an overview on the review protocols, step-by-step guidelines. In general case, we can say that we have 7 general steps and we have 7 main steps that we have to uh, implement it in our work, in our systematic review paper. The first one is title, and we have to write that in our title. We conduct a systematic review, as we have seen in the sample paper. In the introduction, it is important to note and define and formulate the research questions and objectives. So it is necessary. In addition, we understood that we have to write the reason and rationale of writing our review paper. Okay. In the next step, we have to set inclusion or exclusion criteria. What are the exclusion and what are the exclusion criteria for our research? For example, suppose that we are going to only focus on a specific geographical condition, location and locations. For example, in our work, we are going to focus only in European countries. So we will exclude all of them. We want to focus only on Asian countries, only on African countries, no matter. This is our exclusion and inclusion criteria. We have to mention them in our methodology section. Or in some other cases, we want to exclude some specific years from our review. For example, we want to focus only on papers that have been published in last 10 years or that have been published in last 5 years. This is the focus of our study. Of course, there should be a reason behind that, but we have to note it in our methodology section as a part of our inclusion and exclusion criteria. Or in some cases, we want to focus only on a specific methodology. For example, a specific methodology implemented in urban planning. For example, as we have seen in this study is restricted and limited to a space syntax methodology on the role of space syntax to enhance sociability in public urban spaces. Please suppose that, guys, if you want to choose your research title, it is important to have to analyze the direct relationship between two different variables. You have two main variables when you are going to write your research title and formulate your research title. This is the best solution and formulation for conducting your research title. For example, it is you can follow this structure and follow this formula for conducting your research title. You can analyze uh, the influence of one variable to other variables. For example, the influence of something on something else, the role of something on something else, the effect of something on something else, or the application of something else. So, for example, in this study, the application of a space syntax to enhance sociability. In this study, the first variable is the independent variable. Space syntax is independent variable and sociability is dependent variable. This is a well formulated structure that you can follow for choosing your research topics, specifically for the quantitative methods. This is very important to take note that for considering and formulation of your research topics. So let's continue. The third item is search for studies. You should clarify that, you should specify that which academic databases you are using for your search engines. For example, if you are using you have used Google Scholar, if you have used Scopus database, if you have used Web of Science or any other databases such as PubMed, ProQuest, or any other else, you have to mention that. Maybe you are using just one of them. It doesn't matter. You have to write it down. Okay? So it should be specified clearly. In the next step, we have screen and select studies. So here we find out and identify our papers, and right now we have to screen them. How should we screen them? We can review the titles and the abstracts if needed, and the abstracts of papers in order to identify the most relevant articles. Suppose that in our first search we have discovered 1,000 papers. Is it logical to read all the full text of all 1,000 papers? Of course not. You can simply screen the title, and if needed, and you can find them um, necessary, you can screen the abstracts in order to include or exclude related papers. In the next section, we have data extraction. After finding the most relevant papers to our work, we can read the full text and gather key data from the selected studies. This is the data collection process. For example, we want to focus on a specific methodology. Under specific methodology, we have to write it down. We have to focus on the findings. We have to focus on the limitation. And specifically, one of the most important parts is to explore for their future research suggestions or the orientation of future research and further studies they suggested. This is a very important idea and that we can inspire from the viewpoint of that specific author in order to understand what are the further research suggestions. So this can be very important and useful for us. In the next section, we have analysis and synthesis. So in this section, we can compare findings across different studies and analyze and synthesize them with each other. We can also identify the patterns, contradictions, similarities between different papers and specify and designate and identify the research gaps in the field. At the end, we are going to report our finding and we have to summarize our results and find the key research gaps that can be included for further research suggestions. So, in this slide, we are going to be familiar with one of the most key points and key stages that can be considered, that has to be considered for your study, and you have to include it in your review paper, specifically in your systematic review paper. This is the Prisma flowchart, which is a very important and significant item that you have to be included in your paper. This diagram, of course, the design of the structure of this diagram can be different, can be varied, case by case. It depends on your taste and your selection. But this for me, this structure can be considered as a sample of this diagram. You can change its design, of course. This diagram here, as you can see, consists of 4 different steps. The first step is identification. After that, we have screening, then we have eligibility, and at the end, as you can see, we have the inclusion. What should we do in this diagram? We have to specify step by step inclusion and exclusion criteria that we have accomplished in our study. So, as you can see in this paper, the main database was based on the Scopus database. For the first record of our search, we have identified 989 papers based on our search protocol, and we write it down here. In the other database, we have found 118 number of articles, and totally we gathered 1,100 papers, and as an incorporation of all the searching records in all the databases. So if you have different source of databases, for example, you have Scopus, you have Web of Science, you have Google Scholar, or anything else, here you have to incorporate all of them in this section of identification. After that, you will start for the second step, which is here, screening. As you can see, 58 items excluded due to their irrelevance or interdisciplinary approach. So these items will be excluded. In the other hand, in the next step, we have excluded 262 items due to their relevance to the other disciplines. For example, in this case, due to their relevance to architecture, we excluded. In the next step, as you can see, we have excluded 300 papers due to the irrelevance to to our dependent variable, which is sociability, or in some cases accessibility. In the eligibility section, in the step 3, we have excluded 315 items paper due to their irrelevance to the sociability, the main topic of the article. And here we identify 44 papers. Now we understood that how we can exclude a huge number of studies using only screening the topic and abstracts of the paper, and convert 1,000 paper to 44 papers. Here in this stage, we have to read the full text of the identified papers. Here, for example, in this study, 45 papers. Maybe in your case, it can be varied and different. So, by reading the full text of these papers, again, we could exclude 18 more items due to their lack of focus on social activities or social behaviors in public spaces. So at the end, we have 26 items for the inclusion in our study in order to scrutinize regarding their focus and gaps. That is the way of catalyzing and putting our review into the process based on the Prisma framework. This flowchart and inclusion of this flowchart in your review paper is indispensable. It is necessary and you must put it into your review papers. Okay. For the next step, we are going to be familiar how we should perform advanced search on Scopus. Be careful, guys. If you want to do a systematic review and in order to have a systematic search, you are not, you shouldn't have you shouldn't have a simple searching system. You have to follow advanced search. Know how to do advanced search in important databases. For example, for our case, we are going to uh, use the most important and comprehensive database for doing literature review, which is Scopus. We are going to be familiar to how to know to do our search for a systematic paper, review paper, based on the database of Scopus. Okay, simply you can search scopus.com or Google it on internet, and the first page, scopus.com, you will encounter. You should follow that page, and after using it, please note that if you are a regular or ordinary user, you may not have free access to the Scopus item. But uh, if you start to search based on the, for example, Wi-Fi, when you are connected to the Wi-Fi of your university or institutions, you may have a free access to this database. For example, uh, in this case, as you can see in the upper side, it has wrote that brought to you by University of Cagliari. So it is possible to connect and freely access and have a freely access to the Scopus database if you search based on the Wi-Fi of your university, or if you log in with your academic email address. So the first page that you have seen after connecting and logging in, of course, with your academic email is this page, and you can see this page. This is the simple method of searching in Scopus database. But we are not willing to uh, do simple search. We are going to have an advanced document search. In the item that highlighted by the red line color, you can see the advanced document search. You should click on this item, and after that you will go on to the advanced search of Scopus. You can see this box as with the title of interquery string. Here is the place that you should write your search items. But how you should search your items? Is it simply writing down here like Google Scholar and the methods that we have previously recognized? No. For systematic search, it is a little bit different. In the right side of the database of Scopus, you can see some operators or field codes that you can implement into your search. For example, here as you can see, we have AND, we have OR. Each of these items have a specific function, but for starting, it's important to follow documents, title, and abstract. So your initial search should be based on document title, abstract, and keywords. So as you can see, when you click on this item in the right side, you can see in the box there is a additional statement named title dash abstract dash keyword. What does it mean? It means that when you want to search about your keywords, it will delve into the titles of papers, into the abstract of the papers, and into the keywords of the papers. This is one of the most appropriate way of searching your items. Okay, so after using this, you can write down your keywords and the main variables, including independent variable and dependent variable, using different sources. For example, as you can see in the upfront address, after writing title, abstract, and keywords in parentheses, you can write walkability or pedestrian. Why we use or pedestrian here? Because in some cases or in some studies, the author may use pedestrians or pedestrian behavior instead of walkability. They can be the same concept. So, in order to not miss some items, we can implement uh, some search protocols like this. In addition to have walkability or behave pedestrian, we would like to search on urban spaces. So here we can use and, of course, please note that it should be capitalized. We can write urban, and after urban we have a asterisk here. What is the function of asterisk here? We have some words such which can be applicable after urban. For example, urbanism or urbanization. If we put asterisk after urban, this will be include also urbanism, urbanization, and even urban itself. So this is the function of asterisk here. When we search for this protocol, we can see that the Scopus database has found 85,000 papers. Wow, that's a huge number of articles. It's very hard to manage this huge number. So here we can decide that um, we can put more details on our search engines. And as you can see, we can add uh, access to urban spaces. So our search engines have been changed and converted into walkability or pedestrian and urban plus asterisk and access asterisk. So again, we use asterisk here because we want to search for both access and accessibility or anything, any other things that may be applicable to this. So again, we search it and we understand that the Scopus database has found 3,000 papers for us based on this search protocol. So we can see that by adding only access to our research protocol, and of course by narrowing down our research focus, the number of searches of articles have been significantly diminished. In this case, for example, 85,000 papers has been decreased to 3,000 papers. So this is a huge difference that you can consider. So we understood that we have to uh, limit our search engines as much as possible. We have to give as much as detail as we can. Okay, so in this way we can search for our research items based on the variables of our studies. Okay. Again, the same as Google Scholar, we have some filters in the left side of our search engine that we can implement in our studies. This is important. Why it is important? Because we have to write the report of inclusion and exclusion criteria for our paper. So if in the left side we have implemented some filters, it means that we are limiting our search. So it should be write it down as the inclusion and exclusion criteria. So let's uh, let's see that what are these filters and what items can be limited in our searches. So the first item that we can see, we can change the range of the years that we want to search for articles. For example, in this case, we can uh, set the range of publication between 2010 to 2024. So we have limited our search engines and excluded the the publications prior 2010. So this is a huge important limitation that should be addressed in our methodology sections. In the next field, we have a subject area. We can focus only on social science. So with this exclusion, we can also exclude a wide range of articles which can be related to the other field. But this is optional. You can do it or you cannot do. You do not. In the next section, we can focus only on research papers. So we click and check the articles. We can exclude conference papers. For example, because of lack of serious peer reviewing process. This can be a reason for excluding. For every limitation, you should have a reason and you should write the reason why you are doing this. Again, the same protocol can be implemented for the rest of the document types, such as you can exclude review papers, you can include them, you can exclude book chapters, books, or something like that. We can also exclude articles which are in press and consider only finalized publications. We can exclude some specific countries or territories. Of course, uh, it is based on the affiliation of the authors. You can consider, for example, only on studies which has been conducted in China, or only focus on studies which have been conducted in United States. So this is the other way that we can exclude some other studies. The next item is useful because you can here you can uh, exclude all the languages except English. So you can exclude Chinese, Spanish, Portuguese, or French, or any other languages. And your search should be focused on English language. Okay? So this is the way that you can exclude some other articles. And here, after clicking on limited to, you can see that on the upside, the address of your search protocol will be changed. And you have to write the exact address of this protocol into your methodology section. Why we should do that? What is its usefulness? Because we tell you that I told you that it is important for the systematic review papers to be reproducible. You should put this address with the exact limitations that you have implemented into your work, and you should put this address into your methodology section. For example, you will submit your review papers, and you can put this address exactly in your methodology section. The reviewer who judge about the suitability of your review paper can search about your this can search for this searching protocol, and they get the same results as you get. So this means reproducibility. This means that any other person except you conduct the same strategies for the searching on the Scopus database will be reached the same result. Okay, so this will exclude the biases and ensure the consistency of your paper and review paper. So let's delve into the next steps. When we have searched, we can understand that by implementing these limitations, the number of articles that we have searched previously from 3,000 papers has been mitigated to 19,000 papers. So again, we observed that by putting these limitations and exclusion criteria, about 10,000 papers again have been excluded. So it is important to note that. So uh, here I would like to introduce you one of the interesting points that can enrich and enhance your analysis process. So we concentrate that we emphasize that one of the attributes of systematic review papers can be their quantitative nature. So how we can categorize and classify and analyze these review papers in a quantitative manner. So for doing so, in the right side of our search result, we have seen the analyze result, which has been highlighted by the red line here. If you click on Analyze Results, you will see some quantitative charts that give you the useful information about the results of your searches in a quantitative manner. It will introduce you some um, well-shaped and well-organized charts and diagrams that can inform about the trends and process of your search. So in this chart, as you can see the document per year, and you can understand that by each specific year, uh, how much publications have been released in each year. For example, by analyzing and interpreting this chart, we can understood that in this search item, the level of publication and attention have been increased year by year for this specific research topic. So we can emphasize and highlight that this research is still important to the academia. Okay, so in the results section, we have to interpret these graphs. Or in other charts, we can see that what are the most uh, frequent journals that publish our work, that publish the same topic as our work. For example, in this topic, we can see that some journals like Sustainability, Journal of Transport Geography, uh, IJERPH, Transportation Research Record, Accident Analysis and Prevention, Journal of Cities, Journal of Transport and Health, Sustainable Cities and Societies. These journals are the most important ones for this research. So here we can understand what are the main and most important journals in this field. In the next graph, we can understand document by author, and we can understand and recognize the most famous and the most important authors in this field who published their research based on these research topics. So we can recognize the most important persons and researchers in our field, which is very important. In the next graph, we can understand and analyze the most frequent countries or territories that published in this field. And as we can see, China and the United States by far are the most important countries that published in this specific topic. After that, we have some other countries such as United Kingdom, Australia, Canada, Italy, and so on. We can see the other countries who have the most contributions in this field, along with the number of their publications. So here is the way that we can analyze some information regarding our review papers and analyze them and interpret them into the overview of our research engines in our results section. So, after analyzing and interpreting these charts and their numerical trends and process, we should know that how we can download these articles. So it's very important to download them. For doing so, um, in the part that you can see highlighted by red line, firstly you should click on all and check the all articles. So you should click on all items, and after that, by clicking on export item, which is near to it, you have to click on CSV. What is CSV? CSV is the format that will give you and the list of these articles into into an Excel file. So all of these items will be categorized and classified into an Excel file and will be show it to you, and you have all of them in a systematic way. So by clicking on CSV, you will see a windows like this. So what should we do in these windows? So here you can determine that what item you would like to include it into your Excel work. Okay, Excel file. So we want, of course, the name of author, the document title are important. We want the year of publication. We can exclude EID. We can have source title. We can have volume, issues, and pages. It would be interesting to have the citation counts, and we can, if you are interested, you can have the affiliation of the author. We can have a publishers, the name of the publishers. It is very important to have included abstract of the papers. It is very important to have the other keywords, and in some cases even indexed keywords. It is very important. You can set your inclusion and exclusion, of course, in this page, and of course save it as your preferences, and after that click on the export button icon, and after clicking on export, the Excel file will be downloaded for you, and after that you can have these items into your computer. So in the next sections, you can also have some more advanced analysis for your review analysis. For example, after downloading the Excel files, the list of all the keywords will be appear to you. And by collecting them and putting them together, you can use some graphical analysis in order to analyze your keywords, the most important keywords qualitatively. So how we can qualitatively analyze them? Using such word clouds. This is a word cloud that you can create for your analysis process online. There are lots of uh, websites that can create online word cloud for you easily. So by putting your keywords, which is not which can, of course, which is a huge number of keywords, and collecting them, you can put them into uh, the online softwares and create such word clouds for yourself, for your analysis of your paper. And here you can understand that what are the most important keywords in your search. So these are some of the important ways that you can interpret and further analyze your studies. Of course, you can give them a specific layout based on your taste and your uh, uh, main specific designation which you have in your mind. You can design it, the color, you can design it, the form of the layout, the geometry, and each detail you want, you can put for analysis in your search. So this is the other way that you can further interpret your analysis qualitatively. Of course, there are some other advanced methods for analyzing the uh, keywords and the co-occurrence of the keywords altogether using uh, some other software such as WhatWeWare, and which could be very useful for you in order to enhance the level of your analysis. And of course we can put another tutorial workshop for you for this for understanding how to use WhatViewer. If you are interested, uh, we can continue to get to know other advances analysis for review papers, such as how to use WhatViewer in your analysis. So in this way, you can have a great presentation and overview on what you are going to report about your review papers. So this is the very important introduction uh, to how to conduct a systematic literature review. And I do strongly believe that by doing these steps and by implementing such protocols, specifically using Prisma checklists, you will be capable and you will be able to conduct your systematic review papers, and after that you can interpret your data, your collected data in a systematic way, and understand what are the existing state of knowledge in your field, and what are the categories that has not been explored so far and remains underexplored, and you can determine and use them for future research, for your future research in order to advance knowledge. I really hope that this tutorial workshop for the systematic review papers would be useful for you, and I hope that it would be uh, uh, you could implement it into your work. Of course, if you have any question or ambiguous uh, items in your mind, you can ask me, and I would be pleased to further clarify it for you. Thank you very much for your attention, and I hope that you will have a successful systematic review for your paper.